So our first speaker tonight is Zohar. For those of you that haven't been here before, I like to ask ridiculous getting to know you questions, which I did. And Zohar gave me some fantastic answers. As long as I scroll, you guys aren't seeing this happen. Here we go. Zohar, if she had a catchphrase in a sitcom, it would be, "You haven't solved a problem until you've meta-solved it." I don't know what that means. But she has an extremely big brain, so it makes sense. The weirdest thing that she has had to convince someone to believe is that vanilla actually comes from an orchid, which again, I did not know. But that's real. Okay, so now we all are smarter. And if her pet did a TED Talk, it would be how to tell when your owner is least likely to brush you so that you can ask for pets safely. She can also sing the alphabet backwards and forwards at the same tempo, and said there's no movie that she could think of to quote all day, but she would pick a musical because that way she could remember the song lyrics. I would not want to bust out musical song lyrics for the rest of my life, so brave points to Zohar. If we could please welcome her to the stage, please. As our first speaker, a little extra.
So talking about problems is hard, and that's partially because there are different kinds of problems you might be talking about. You might be talking about something that's bugging you. You might be talking about something like in school, a math problem, or you might be talking about a situation. So I want you to think back. When have you, and raise your hand if you've learned problem solving. And I don't mean like how to solve a specific problem, but the general skill that you put on your resume and we use every day. If you ever look it up, I've seen problem then solution as the way they explain problem solving, and that really never worked for me. There was something that was missing in how we solve problems that this doesn't really capture. So during college, I found my field. It was really had a different way of thinking about problems, and I tried to say how that was different. And so during my PhD, I started writing. And so I wrote my blog, and a lot of the posts would be kind of hard to understand. I'd say there's a problem, and then you have a problem with the problem, and everyone agreed you couldn't really understand what I was talking about. But I kept at it. And so I kept writing. And this year, I've really made a lot of progress, had several breakthroughs, and that's what I'm presenting today, is this different view of problem solving. So I'm going to wait for the next slide, as we all learn to do in this. So I want to introduce the idea of a completely defined problem. So a completely defined problem is like what you see in school when you have a teacher. There's one right answer, and it's really because of the teacher that it's completely defined. There are some problems in real life that are completely defined. So you can think of like the shortest path from here to somewhere you're going, or who wins the eBay auction. Those are things that an algorithm can tell you the one right answer to. Most problems in life, though, are not completely defined. So you can think of, how can I make my city better? Or what should I have for dinner? There isn't one right answer. There are sort of a lot of different things going on as you try to figure out how to tackle these things. So I call these kinds of problems incompletely defined. So you see some things, you have some things you know, but there's a lot that might be unknown. There might be things you're not clear about. And so these incompletely defined problems are part of our daily life. One of the first things you have to think about in these cases is, what do we value? So I have these beautiful pictures of pizza, and there are different factors of each of them. Some of them are healthier, some might not have cheese. This question of what do you value is really important. For incompletely defined problems, we also have to think about opinion. What do I want versus what do you want? That's often where this dinner conversation is a problem, because I have different values than you do. So this opinion piece is part of it. There are also often implicit assumptions. So when I think about what I want to make for dinner, I assume I only have so much time in the day. And that's one of my main constraints in picking what to make. My list is much shorter because of that. We also make explicit assumptions. So you might think of, do I want to make something at home or go to the grocery store? I want to go to the grocery store. I'm just going to make something I can at home. wait a second, sometimes you have to update those assumptions. And so you open your fridge, you see you've got nothing there. You know what? Going to the grocery store sounds great. I'm going to go do that. What do I want to make now that I've updated my assumptions? This is actually one of the keys in incompletely defined problems. There's often this unknown factor. You maybe don't know what you have, so you might have this uncertainty there, but it might be a little bit different. You might not know what you value. And that sounds a little bit funny, but when you actually say, like, I want to have a burger. No, I want something healthier. Oh, no, not that. Let's have tacos. And there's this iterative process as you kind of discover what you value and what you're uncertain about. So that's part of the picture. This is really my main message. There's this iterative part of problem solving that I always saw, but I never saw written down by most people teaching problem solving. So you write down your problem, you solve it, it tells you something about what you're looking for. And that framework, this incompletely defined problem, really gives you a better way to talk about problems when you're trying to discover a solution together. And that's my message. I'm going to have a QR code in a second, or you can go to meta-problem.com to learn more. But this is really helping me communicate better about problem solving in work, in life, and any of these decisions we might make. Thank you.